finished dancing with Kano's famous Koroso cultural troupe. And it's about time for us now to move in. I would like to indulge our chairman occasion for permission to continue with the activities. And to continue with the activities, may I kindly invite for a performance. You remember yesterday we had a session on the poetry, and today we're having another session on spoken words with Hidayah Mahmood. If she's here, please let's appreciate her. Please put your hands together for Hidayah. Okay. I would like to appreciate the presence of ANCOP's chairman, All Nigeria Confederations of Principals of Secondary Schools. She's here with us. Directors from the Ministry of Education, Director of Schools is here with us as well. Is Hidayah very close by? Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Hidayah Mahmood Muhammad. I'm a poet, and my poem for you today goes like this. Malala Fund says, every girl deserves 12 years of free, safe, quality education. But, broken news, UNESCO counts 7.6 million girls out of school in Nigeria. When I was a child, I thought knowledge lived in the wind, that if I listened closely enough, I will hear alphabet whispering through the trees. My mother said education is light, but no one told me how many girls are asked to walk toward it barefoot, how many torches burn out before they reach the gate. The streets have long learned to mother what the schools abandoned. The sun has become a cruel clock, measuring how long a girl can stand before she faints, how long her future could wait before it rots. Sometimes, I think education is a building. I think education is not a building, but a river that remembers every girl that was told she could not cross. And some of us, we were born water. We carry their reflections in our palms. We write so they may arrive. Saboda ilimi shine mabudin hangen hanci. Rariyar da ke bambanta tsakuwar sani daga rashin sani, ya bambanta haske daga duhu. Ilimi shine gadar da ke alakanta rayuwar 'ya mace ta yau da wacce take lulluɓa a ƙarƙashin inuwar shekarun da suka gabata. Ilimi haske ne da ke koya wa zuciya hangen nesa. When we talk about accountability, we talk about all of us, leaders, teachers, fathers, mothers, who must hold ourselves to the fire of our future, who must not speak of inclusion while leaving her name at the door. Kada mu bari ilimi ya zama alfarmar da ake ɓoyewa a bayan fage. Kamata ya zama kamar iskar da take lulluɓe makoshinmu, kamar ruwan saman da ke inganta gonakinmu, kamar rahmar Allah da ke da yalwa. See, to educate a girl child is to make possibility fluent again. To invest in her future is to build a road back to our own humanity. To budget for her education is to plant a forest that will always continue to grow. A budget that forgets the girl child is a nation that forgets how to multiply light. If I could tell the leaders one thing, I had say, ku guji jahilci kamar yadda rana take gudun dare. Fear what becomes of a land that forgets to teach its daughters. Saboda ba za mu iya kimanta darajar ilimin 'ya mace a kasuwa ba. You cannot keep silencing the sound of a girl pronouncing her own name. For every girl you deny a classroom, you deny the world another cure, another light, another language of creation. For every dream misplaced in your paperwork, you sentence the future to repetition. And to all the girls in this room, ku tashi, ku riƙe littafi kamar takobi, ku karanta kamar addu'a, ko da babu kuɗi babu makaranta a kusa, ko da kuwa duniya ta ɗauke ku da wasa, ku dage saboda mace mai ilimi ba ta dogaro da hasken wasu ita kanta rana ce tana haskaka hanyar kowa da kowa duk rintsi duk wuya kar ku ja da baya ku kafa tarihin da zuri'a ba za ta manta ba ku zama muryar da duniya za ta saurara so when they tell you to keep quiet please speak louder when they say stay at home turn every road into a classroom when they build walls around you build doors and break through. When they forget your name, rename the sky after yourself. For every letter you trace is a star, and very soon the constellations will arrange themselves in your name. Until every girl child is free to dream and overcome, until education becomes air, until schools are no longer luxury but right, we will keep writing. We will keep speaking. We will keep thundering in the rooms of policy that to educate a girl child is not just to teach her how to live. It is to teach a nation how to rise. So when you see her tomorrow, standing at the podium, healing, teaching, leading, remember this day. Remember this room. Remember me and remember my words. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hidayah. Please, let's appreciate her one more time. Well, we are seeing a lot of motivational speakers through poetry. And I think excelling in that aspect. We've seen one yesterday and another one today. The beauty of what she did today, I think you can be a motivational speaker within poetry. But now I'm seeing one in her. She's able to take us through the poetry in Hausa and to send a message across. And that's another level of creativity. We must appreciate her for that. Please, let's appreciate her one more time. Well, more about creativity. This summit is geared toward inclusion. Inclusion for the gender itself in every aspect of learning and teaching. May we now invite for a session where we're looking at the issue, an aspect of inclusivity in education. We're having a session on fireside chat. It's an additional aspect of our schedule that we feel like putting it or adding it up into the line of our programs activities for today so that to make the session wholly inclusive. May I invite for this Ahmad Muhammad, who is going to be the moderator. He's here already. You remember Ahmad is our MC, is my co-MC. And may I kindly invite an activist for persons living with disabilities, especially women and children with disabilities. She's a consultant and the aide here. She's an advocate of inclusion and development. She works a lot with CSOs and civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, more especially when it comes to the issue of persons living with this disability. She was the chairman, Kano Women Journalists Now Watch. Please, let's appreciate Bilkisu Ado Zango as she will co-present this session on fireside chat alongside Malam Ahmad Muhammad. She led the women journalists in Kano for almost 5-6 years, ably leading. And during her time, it was just a wholesome lot of activities for the journalists. And I must say, women journalists and journalism in Kano was vibrant during Bilkisu Ado Zongo's era. So she was, and she still is able. Please, let's appreciate her one more time. Okay. For the purpose of feedback on what transpired yesterday and today, we had to evaluate ourselves based on what we learn, based on what we understand. A barcode will be displayed on the screen, of which you will now use to scan and send your feedback, and a paper will go around as well, please. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone. I'm sure you can remember this voice, right? Okay, so I'm here on a different engagement, not as a co-host, but as a moderator of this conversation. We'll be discussing education and disability, realities and way forward. And this is part of our effort, or part of the efforts of this summit to also further inclusion, to touch on issues beyond just education, but also other demographies that are in some way underserved and marginalized. Malama Bilkisu, it's nice to have you.
It's nice to have you too.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful. We'll be discussing for about 10, 15 minutes thereabout. We've been discussing girls, education, budgeting, you know. Girls with special needs have a special or a different kind of problem than other girls. Please, I want you to, we have students here, we have policymakers here, we have members of the State Executive Council, we have the Honorable Minister here. Please walk everybody here through what typically girls with disability, the challenges that they face with regards to education. And this session is going to be both in Hausa and English, because I want for our students to also take away some things, because they have a role to play. So saboda haka zamu conversation in the Hausa da Turanci, but then first, wani irin wahalhalu mata masu bukata ta musamman suke fuskanta with regards to neman ilimi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Well, people with disability or girls with disability have a very vital role to play. We face a lot of challenges as women and then as a person with disability. So we have double disparities and discrimination. Kowane lokaci, kamar gabaki ɗaya a nan, da akwai mata, da akwai maza, the different people here. Amma you can see women with disability or girls with disability are special because, one, there are a lot of challenges. First, accepting as a person with disability to go to school is a very, very big challenge. So sometimes that's the self-motivation. Daga gida suna samun kuma wani sa'in al'umma ba su ansa kiransu because they feel they are neglected. Kuma daga gida ake fara disparity. So sometimes aka ga iyaye da yawa masu bukata yara masu bukata amma suna ɓoye su. You can imagine, we are all humans and we are children and like other child that you have or the children you have. So bai kamata in our life ana banmu a gefe, and then the sima starts from the home. Sometimes iyaye mata da maza suna aggravating tension da mutanen ko yaranmu masu bukata suke da shi, because tun daga gida they don't have a space, they don't have a soft landing for them in the house. So mu dai kamar ni yanzu, I'm very proud to have parents that I have, because gaskiya mamana is the first pillar in my life, because she helped me. Even my thesis, I dedicated for her, because she was my pillar and did everything. Sometimes tana ce gaya min cewa ni gaskiya ke daban a cikin yara ne, a cikin yaran da na samu, amma you have to be very important. You have to make yourself very important in life. Ki ringa karatu, ki je makaranta, you do a lot of things. In fact, she give me all the chores in the house. So ban tashi da wani stigma da cewa a'a ban iya ba, ba zan iya yi ba. She doesn't even want to hear that. But someone number. So we have to have it in our minds that the parents have a very important role to do for our children with disability. Because duk wani abin da zai faru daga gida yake faruwa. So duk abin da zai faru a waje ba za ka samu wahala a kansa ba, because you have been strong and you have been promoted yourself to another level of understanding about I'm very special, I have to make myself known, and you have to be very, very extra vigilant in life. So alhamdulillah, it's not easy, because when you look at the schools that we have, so alhamdulillah, a lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
A lot. There's a lot of investment in the schools that we have, we know. Amma is not easy for people with disability or children of people with disability to go to school. From the home, za ana samun problem. Sometimes za ka ga a cikin yaran da za a haifa, sai a ga zai je bara. Why? Is it not a child? Or is she not a child?
Like every other child.
We are going to invest in them. And children with disability are also needed to invest in them.
Yes.
So it's very important.
Yeah. Sai kika kawo ne wata gaba daman ina so mai magana akan role ɗin da gwamnati za ta yi playing, amma kafin nan iyaye su ma akwai rawar da za su taka. Iyaye a cikin nan ba za a rasa iyayen wanda suke da 'ya'ya masu bukata ta musamman ba, iyaye maza da iyaye mata. Wace rawa iyaye ya kamata su taka kafin mu zo kan gwamnati? Wace rawa ya kamata iyaye su taka domin ƙara wa yaran nasu ƙarfin gwiwa da sa musu wannan sense of self-esteem din?
So the first thing is su sa tsoron Allah a zuciyarsu, kuma su sa ƙaddaran yaran nan ba wai it's just for only them. You understand? So sa shi a zuciyarsu cewa that child is very important and important in life. Daga farko ma, you have to have a very a very I don't know how to say it. You have to be very patient with your child,
Yes.
a child with disability. Ba shi ne ya sa kansa ba. So it's very important for us to understand the kind of child you have, because it's not all about going to school. No. Sometimes the children that we have might not, they just need just the basics for maybe maths and English, and then you teach them a trade or something. That's how, like, students with disability that are autism, that have autism. So they are not all going. They don't even like going to school. They like doing a lot of things, but not about school. And then on that understanding, your disability in the child, you understand. Me yake so. You have to understand, but way you have to understand the level of disability. Come on, physical. Muna the level daban. Some of us we can stand and walk. Amma we limp, and others we use a lot of assistive devices. Like the children that we have with albinos, Suma, some of them are they have short sights, and some colors are very not good for them. And then we have children with hearing impaired. In schools, we have to have them a lot of hearing aids for them. And when we have a class for people with disability, all the child needs is support.
Support.
Yes. The child needs a lot of support. Ba wai a zauna ga baki ɗaya a yi karatu lokaci ɗaya. Yes, it's very important for us to be included. You understand? Amma kowa yana da special needs insa for maybe learning. When he is a slow learner, when he can grab very fast and all that. So we have to understand that we have our teachers have to be trained to be inclusive in the class. Kuma sometimes ba wai daga gida ne ma problem, a cikin class din ma problem ne, because they are neglected baki ɗaya sometimes a karatu.
Yanzu mun yi magana akan iyaye, rawar da iyaye za su taka. Kin dan taba kaɗan akan rawar da gwamnati za ta taka. Da wannan za mu yi ɗauraya da wannan a ƙarshe. Akwai students anan, yara 'yan makaranta, waɗannan yaran masu bukata ta musamman, ƙawayensu ne, maza abokansu ne. Wace rawa su ma 'yan uwansu ɗalibai za su taka wurin taimaka musu wurin koyo da koyarwa? Saboda wani lokacin akan samu bullying, saboda yaro yana da bukata ta musamman, akan samu kyara, abokansa ko ƙawayenta sai su dinga kyararta a cikin aji, wannan kuma zai rage mata ƙarfin gwiwa sosai da sosai. Wace rawa ko wace shawara za ki ba wa ɗalibai da suke nan ta yadda za su mu'amalanci ɗalibai masu bukata ta musamman?
Alhamdulillah, abinda zan gaya musu shi is su yi haƙuri da mutanenmu, sisters ɗinsu, brothers ɗinmu masu bukata, because what we need is support, help. Amma you have to ask that person what help he or she needs. Kawai in ka ga mutum mai laruran ido, baya gani, ba komai, no. Kana so in tsallaka ko kuma wani, you have to ask the person what she wants, not just sometimes aka ga, okay, sometimes muna yaranmu masu wheelchair, sai ka ga mutum yana so ya wuce waje, amma wajen is not accessible. So one time sai ka ga an tura mutum without asking him or her cewa kina so in supporting ɗinki ko kuma yaya, ko a class ma za a shiga one sign that all our classes, some of them are not accessible. So sometimes aka ga friends ɗinsu su zo su taimaka taimake shi ko
hawa matattakala ko wani abu.
You have to ask the person that Allah kina so ki samu support ɗin nan, or sometimes one sign mu lokacin da muke zuwa makaranta a waya zan zo ki ajiye min class street a kusa da ke saboda, you understand, there's a very humble form of communication with classes, no, mates in classes, and sometimes you understand the person you're sitting with, because sometimes akaga basa so azo asam su ido ko a class ma
ba kai ne za ka yi tunanin taimakon da za ka ba su ba, su ya kamata ka tambaya taimakon da suke bukata.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. You ask them, da Allah kina so in gyara miki wuce ki ko kuma wajen da zaki zauna in gyara miki wajen da zaki zauna is very important, because when you ask, you then understand the communication that you're going to have. Very impaired. Wallahi, help. They want you to help them, but not the way.
Yadda kake tunanin ya kamata ka taimaka musu.
Anyhow, ka gane? So amma in ka ce masa da Allah taimake ka, or somebody that is hearing visually impaired, gaskiya kawai mutum yana wucewa, you grab his wife cane, gaskiya da ba daidai ne ba.
Tabbas. Masha Allah, yanzu muna da Honorable Minister tana zo ne, Commissioner Ilimi was here also earlier, and representation here. Me kike wace shawara zaki ba su, me ya kamata gwamnati ta yi, gwamnatoci a matakai daban-daban, mataki na ƙasa da mataki na jiha da gwamnatoci ma na local government da sauransu, wani irin taimako ke tunanin ya kamata a bawa karatun mutane masu bukata ta musamman?
Suna da
za ki iya faɗo guda biyu ko guda uku.
So, what I would say, we read assistive devices makaranta is very important. Ba yanda za a yi baka da support ka you skill in school, zai yi ba. Hearing aid, audio, text, and other devices that we need. Notebooks, that digital devices, they are very important for people with disability to succeed in school. Apart from the safe environment that we want, ya kamata schools they have to be accessible for us. In dai ka je makaranta ko daga gate, me bukata ya shigo. The person, maybe the person in
security.
The security should know that I'm a person with disability. The way he will treat me will be the same, but
a little bit
with
different.
Support.
Yes.
With support of a lot of things. One, muka je makaranta, muka samu accessible environment, muna samun kwanciyar hankali. Kuma muna da kayan aiki. I have a computer, I have my hearing aid, I have the internet, I have a lot of things that will support me to teach, to understand what I'm learning and understanding what the teacher is telling me. Sometimes kaga at Urema, there are classes for them.
Yes, so
online and all that. Suna excelling so say, they have a conducive atmosphere for them to learn and then understand what is happening. Then after that, we want to have scholarship for people with disability.
Okay.
Mun san a Kano, muna da free education for primary and secondary school, and also tertiary owned by the state government. We are very happy for that, because gaskiya da yawan mutanenmu, they don't have enough money to pay
for tuition.
The fee. So wannan yana taimakon su da yawa. Sometimes, again, what we want is for them to also, yanda ake kai mutane turai. Kuma muna so yaran mu su je. And some of us are very, very intellect. We have a lot of
They're very brilliant, very
capacity.
brilliant, yes.
And sometimes, even in tech, our people are very,
Yes.
very good in
So
tech.
sad.
And ya kamata a san cewa opportunities like what the government is doing now might not come again. Kuma ya kamata a sa mutanenmu sosai a ciki. Because we are very, very, ana magana amana.
Tabbas.
People with disability have amana, ba wasa.
A ƙarshe, a ce ke ce Commissioner of Education, gaya min abu guda ɗaya, a ce ke ce Commissioner of Education yanzu ta nan Kano, gaya min abu guda ɗaya da zaki ko zaki prioritizing sai mu kulle da shi. Abu ƙwaya ɗaya.
So what I would say is inclusive education is very important. Duk abin da za a yi, invest in education. Yanda aka ce, it's the first priority, the
Yes.
second and the third. That's it for
Sosai.
us gabaki ɗaya. A
Sosai.
samu a ciki.
Masha Allah.
In all the committees, in all the things they do, for the local and the state and the national,
Yes.
muna so a sa mutane.
Kuma,
Because
kuma a sa ku a ciki ba wai dan saboda ana
the
son a
participation
cimma wani
is
abu ba.
very important.
Yes.
It's not
Ba-
about our mutanenmu suna ciki.
Yes.
We want
Saboda
to
akwai rawar da za ku taka.
yes.
Saboda akwai rawar da za
We
ku
want to
taka.
participate and then
Inshallah.
we give them our inputs that we want.
Beautiful.
So inshallah za mu yi
Masha-
abin da ya kamata.
Masha Allah.
Inshallah.
Yawa.
So thank you
Saboda
so much.
saboda kuratowar lokaci za mu tsaya dan insha Allah.
very much.
Ta ba da shawarwari sosai especially ga ɗalibai. Ya kamata dole ku duba ƙawayenku especially mata masu bukata ta musamman. Ana samun issues da yawa na kyara saboda gurguwa ce ko saboda bata ji ko saboda bata gani sai a dinga kyararta ƙawancen ma ba za a yi da shi ba wannan kuma yana ƙara tasiri sosai a rashin son su da karatu da sauran abubuwa so tun daga iyaye zuwa ga hukumomi zuwa ga iyayen yara da hukumomi da ku ƙawaye da ku students ma duk kowa akwai rawar da zai iya takawa da fatan za mu ɗauki shawarwarin da aka bayar a nan za mu tsaya insha Allah. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Malam Ahmad Muhammad. Thank you very much, our panelist, Hajia Bilkisa Zango. Yes. Mr. Chairman, I think you have to come up here for a group photo as well. The TA to the governor should also come. The Honorable Minister in representation should please. Yes, the Honorable Minister will be here. Don't worry. It's our word. She said it's the rare opportunity for them to get you people around them, and it's good if they see you, they get a photo shot with you for advocacies. Thank you. But do you know, inclusion is not about PWD alone. We are all teachers. We know what happened in the classrooms. Slow learners are there. Fast learners are there. Short learners are there. Tall learners are there. A kalle suka ce, ‘yan gajerun nan da Allah ku koma nan da Allah ku. Shi kenan kai excluding ɗin shi. Ko kuma ku dogayen nan. So what I understand based on our presentation is that everything could be a problem in life. It's not only PWDs, but everything. In ka fiye mai faɗi ne wace kai da Allah masu ƙiban nan da Allah ku yau nan masu ƙiban nan. Ko ‘yan siraran nan da Allah ku ɗan matsa baya. Why? Inclusion is carrying everyone along in everything you do. And I think it's not only in the classroom, in every aspect of life, inclusion is supposed to be put in place, even in your houses. Because we are not all born equal. Take a look at your fingers. So we are. So it's not about the PWDs only, but about us, all of us. So let's try to be inclusive in life. Okay. We are concluding and we are drawing ourselves nearer to the end of this activity for today. But not until when we have our lead paper 2 presented. And to present lead paper 2 on a topic titled From Budget to Classroom, Making Education Spending Work for Girls, Mr. Chairman, permit me to invite this specialist. He is a leading governance strategist and policy reform expert with over 20 years of experience shaping education, youth, and climate policies across Nigeria. He's the founder of the System Strategic and Policy Lab. He has worked with governors, ministers, and global partners to design transformative reforms, including the MAPITA Youth Empowerment Program. And he worked with several support partners, including UNICEF in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Murtala Muhammad Dogi. He's going to lead us in that paper. Kuma babban kanina ne. Probably after his presentation, I will tell you how he... Go in shiru. Mpasa kai na taya?
So I think we have. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, so just few points to share with you. And as the topic said, from budget to classroom. I just had a quick discussion with the Commissioner of Budget and Planning and the Commissioner of Education and the special advisor, technical advisor to the governor a few minutes ago. And my emphasis was basically on the issue around we need to see the impact of the money in the classroom. Because when we spend a lot of money recruiting teachers, in the last couple of months, the Kano state government are putting about more than 10,000 teachers. Am I correct? More than 10,000 teachers. And we are paying them salary every month. Then the question we need to ask ourselves by next year, around this time, is that what has changed? We recruited 15,000 teachers. We pay them salary every month. Has the learning poverty dropped? What has changed? So why are we investing money where we're not getting profit, where we're not getting results, where we're not getting impact? So we need to begin to ask a lot of questions around, we spend money in the budget, in the planning, in workshop, in seminar, in chicken, in fish, in rice. We just finished eating chicken and rice. Is the chicken and rice we've been eating translating into reducing learning poverty in classroom? See, whatever we are doing, countries globally do two things. Kasashen da suka gama yaki, su Afghanistan, su Somali, su Rwanda, su Inane, they spend their money on quantity. They want to see more children in school. Kasashen da suke zaman lafiya, they want to see improvement on what? Quality. So every 1 naira we are spending in Kano, we must conduct a cost-benefit analysis. Is this 1 naira going to improve on quantity? Or is it 1 naira going to improve on quality? What are we spending on? Is it infrastructures? Is it classroom? Is it teachers? So I will just take us through and share some lessons. The first one here is what I call from idea to impact. If you check a book written by Michael Shadrack is the co-founder of an NGO in South Africa. And the NGO is called Global Citizen. And in 2018, they started a campaign, the way Bridge Connect started a campaign for girls' education. But when Michael Shadrack started their campaign, they have a target. And they want to address what we call menstrual poverty. Do you know what's called menstrual poverty? Menstrual poverty is a poverty that affects young women and girls. For them not to have the ability to use menstrual products. Menstrual products are the products that women and girls use in terms of menstruation and the period before or after. If you don't have access to those things, then you are suffering from menstrual poverty. So they want government to reduce the tax. The government has taken the tax on anything menstrual product. They want government to increase budget. The government has increased budget. And at the end, they are able to achieve a big result in South Africa. So Bridge Connect are working closely with Kano State government to increase enrollment. If I said enrollment, you say one. Enrollment. Enrollment. Transition. Retention. Survival. And completion rates. 5. So, the slide my senior colleague, Dr. Alodu, showed us earlier. We have over 2 million children enrolled in primary 1, girls. Boys over around 100 million. We must track them till the end of their primary and secondary and see the transition. In Nigeria, we give back to about 7 million children every year. So we are very good in production of children. Every year, around 7 million, according to UNICEF data, which majority are girls. So when we have them in school, now the challenge is when you have 6 million children in school, only till 2 million finish secondary school. What happened to the 4 million? What happened to the 4 million? What happened to them? Dropout, early marriage, transfer, death. So what we need to do in Kano is to track this progress. We recruited teachers, we build classroom, we do enrollment, then we need to ensure that we track progress and make sure the 6 million that are in primary 1 finish their senior secondary school. Next slide, please. So there's some critical policy here. Policy formulation. My senior colleague, Dr. Aledo, have shown some policy on girls' education. Fine. Budget allocation. We have budget allocation. When we work with 10 states and Malala funds in Kefi and Abuja, Ishewu Hamza Saleh Kafanchiri was there with us in Kefi and Abuja. Kano was part of the 10 states. Only Kaduna State and Jigawa have a budget line for girls' education. Kano State, do we have a budget line code with the number for girls' education in Kano State? No. No, at the moment. So at the end of this 2-day summit, Bridge Connect, where are we? Bridge Connect, where are we? Okay, some said we have a budget line for girls' education. What we are talking about is that in the Ministry of Budget and Planning, under Ministry of Education, when you take the state budget, you will see a line code that said girls' education. Everything from the buses we are using for girls' education, from their infrastructures, from their hijab, from their everything that we're paying should tie to that particular budget line. If at the end of December or early next year we have a budget line, then we can record this summit as one of our success. One of our expected outcome of this summit is to ensure that we have a budget line for girls' education in Kano State. And this budget line, we want to know how we are progressing. As our population is increasing, we want to also know how the budget allocation in that budget line is increasing. You can check Kaduna State government, budget line for girls' education. You can check Jigawa State, budget line for girls' education. And we want to see Kano State budget line for girls' education. So that when we meet next year, we should be able to compare and see where the money is going. Finally, the issue of the implementation. We might have the money. Kano State has over 30% allocation in the budget. But what about the releases? So the issue is not, government will announce we put 20 billion for education. Everybody will clap in January. 20 billion. But by December, only 4 billion were released. Is that a success? Is that a success? So what we are saying from budget to classroom is that when we budget 20 billion, please, government, try and release the entire 20 billion so that we can see result. Next slide. Next slide, we have discussed this poverty issue. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, let's stop here. Okay. Why are we having challenges? Where is the money getting stuck in Kano? We have the allocation. We have delay in releasing of the money. We have weak procurement process. How do you procure hijab, school bags, and how do you ensure the entire 44 local government get it? I shared something with technical assistant to the governor. I said, let's take Bagwai, for instance, Osha Nono, or Ajingi, or Sumaila, or Take, any local government in Kano. In fact, let's just take Kano Municipal. How many primary schools do we have in Kano Municipal? Let's say 100. How many? Primary school in Kano Municipal, how many? Over 8,000. Then how many secondary schools do we have in Kano Municipal? How many secondary schools? Do we have equal number? Which one is higher? Eh? Okay, now let's go back to Dogua. Dogua share border with Jos Plateau State. It's a local government that is very far away. Then in Dogua, let's say we have 100 primary school, but only 20 secondary school. Those that finish secondary school, will they be able to access the those that finish primary school, will they be able to access the secondary school? Because the number of secondary school is what? Then that is the tunnel we are talking about. You know funnel? Nazuba kananzir a cikin fitilla. Bututu wanda suke amfani da kananzir da fitilla da. If you know tunnel, bututu ko? Ai saman shi na da fadi. Kasafa ya yake. To haka education system yake. Not only in Kano, in Nigeria at the moment. Saman na shine primary school. Yana da yawa. Umka sauko kasa. Number of secondary school yana tsukewa to the level that even if we want the girls to go to school, is there access? So we need to expand access by increasing the number of girls' secondary school across the whole 44 local government. If really we want the girls to go to school. Because we must provide uniform, recruit teacher, pay salary, they finish primary school, and there's no secondary school in their community. The World Bank and UNICEF recommendations mention that school should not be less than how many? Where is Ishewu? He's out. He's our director of planning, research, and statistics. Where are the AMIS people here? Anybody from AMIS? How many kilometers school should not be more than? How many kilometers? Is in our annual school census form. How many kilometers? School should not be. 3. Please, let's put our hands together for her, please. Let's clap for her. The recommendation is that secondary school and primary school should not be more than 3 to 4 kilometers from the community. There is a village that is coming up opposite BUK New Side. What is the name? Lambere. When last, about 10, 15 years back, I visited Lambere, there was just a plot of land. But go to Lambere today. Do we have a secondary school in Lambere? Junior or secondary? Both. Let's clap for Kano State. It means to some extent, Kano State is also growing with the population. As the community is emerging, then we are having new secondary school. When you follow back of Kurna, as if you are going to Buchi, Takawia Ungogo, Akwa Sabo Ungwa, is it New Enugu or New Medina or New Dubai? Do we have secondary school there? Eh? We have secondary school there. Let's clap for Kano State once again. So what I'm saying is, as population is growing, communities are emerging, we need to conduct data-based analysis to ensure we address this issue of bottlenecks as it's growing. Then the next slide, talk about the impacts. Safe boarding school. I'm sorry to say, I'm part of the committee that designed the Safe School Strategy Plan for the country. I was with the Commissioner of Education, the former one. Is it, what is his name? Dogua. Honorable Commissioner Dogua. The secondary school that were closed down by former administration was because of the bandit attack. Huh? Am I right? Now, if we are bringing back those secondary schools, did we factor in safety and security of those girls? I did my teaching practice so many years back in Government Girls Secondary School, Jogana. And I visited my friends in Government Girls Secondary School, Gezawa. So I know how those schools used to be. But they were not there now because of bandits' attack. Okay, now if we are bringing back those boarding schools for girls, we need to do a security situation analysis. Their safety is very important. We need to conduct a security and safety situation analysis. Are we bringing all of them back? Or are we bringing only few secondary school back? Where those girls can be protected by maximum securities. Then number 2, conditional snippets. Kano is very good in giving conditional cash transfer. It happened in 2009. I was among the first team of people that designed the first cash transfer in Kano. With Aisha Garba, the current UBEC chairperson, where she was a consultant, World Bank. Some of you in the ministry, you know Lami? When Lami was director, not even PAMSEC. Lami was a director, was working with the SUBEB and the ministry. We designed the first cash transfer. You were chairperson SUBEB then, mashallah. With one lady that I forgot her name, very gentle and calm in the SUBEB, Aisha, working with us in the ministry. So we designed the first cash transfer in Kano. Bauchi came to Kano to copy the cash transfer that we designed in Kano. Katsina, during Shema, came to Kano to copy the cash transfer. The former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, came to Kano to copy the cash transfer. So Kano State, are we still delivering on cash transfer? Huh? Yearly. We are still giving girls money. Let's put our hands together for Kano State for sustaining that. Then the third one is female teacher incentives. When I was working with DFID, we designed the first one to call FTSS, Female Teacher Scholarship Scheme, in 5 states in Nigeria, and Kano was one of them. We went to villages to get girls that finished their secondary school with 3 credits. Muna basu dubu amsin for them to be enrolled in College of Education, Saret Limi. And when they finish their NCE, they will not marry in Kano. They will go back to their village and marry and teach in those secondary schools so that we can address the issue of female teachers' gaps. But you know what happened? Corruption came in. Some directors bring their girls from the urban city as the girls from the village. And by the time we finish paying Dubu Amsing every semester in Saret Rimi, we want the girls to go back to Bagwai, Shanono, Ajingi, Nampaka Pada Regima. Ni dota ni na badal da Ajingi te teaching ba. To ai kasa su not under Ajingi. While the muke cross checking, she's from Kano Municipal. But tachi mana Dubu Amsing, she collected about 50,000. Suna nang? So, but the most important thing now is that we must come back with this scheme because parents have more confidence if the teachers are female. If you have more female teachers in school, parents will have more confidence to allow their girls to go to school. No parent will allow their daughter to go to school where all the teachers are male. So we need more female teachers. So please, technical advisor to the governor, we can reverse back the female teacher scholarship to ensure that we have more female teachers. Then number 4, the wash and menstrual hygiene. Under JAC project of Malala Fund in Borno State, we brought House of Assembly members in Abuja for 3 days. House of Assembly members in Borno State now have a bill that is going to become a law to establish a center for production of menstrual hygiene product for girls. Akwai secondary school da da muke teaching practice a Kano suna amfani da matras wajen addressing the menstrual problems also. Wallahi is very unfortunate and very sad. So please, Kano State Government, House of Assembly, if they are not here, you can learn, Mohamed Sani, you can liaise with Dan Sadiq in Borno. They are working with House of Assembly member to have a law to establish a center for production of reusable female product for menstrual hygiene. It's very important because that also affects their stay in school. Then accelerating learning, science, technical, and all aspects of learning, we need to encourage girls. Then making the budget works. Next slide. Making the budget works. Only 4 things that will make the budget work. 1, ring-fence fund. Dedicate 5 to 10% of the budgetary allocation to girls, like I said earlier. Public release dashboard. Any Kano State indigenous sons and daughters should be able to log in and see how much we are spending on girls every year. People should have that dashboard. Grape-coded lines. maybe before I came here, you have signed the great commitment with the Kano State government. The coded line is one of the things that we want to see as our achievement. That will be a very good thing at the end of this summit. Then CSOs and NGOs participation. Next slide, which is almost the last one. Next slide. Okay, we are talking from budget to classroom. The next steps is enforce timely release of fund visibility. Let's see where the money is going. According to my friend and brother Hamza Lawal, he said follow the money. So we need to follow the money, focus on metric. And the last slide, which is the last one, let's get back our girls back to school and ensure they stay in school. There is a tool that we developed with Malala Fund called GEPAT, Girls Education Performance Assessment Tool. Borno State has adopted it, and Kano State, if you want to get the tool, we are available to give you free of charge, being a partner with Malala, so that you can use that tool to assess performance of girls together with our partners. And that tool tells us a story. The gender parity index in secondary school, gradually we are closing the gap. If you go to Kofan Gidan Malaminu Kano, gwammaja kenan ko? Lokacin closing hour na secondary school. Ka tsaya ka ga ikon Allah yan mata da ke fitowa from different lungu na wannan area din da uniform din su. We have a lot of girls that are going to school in Kano. Either primary school. But our question, are they learning? That is question number one. Number two, we realize that boys are now dropping out of secondary school. You know where they are going to now? Farm center. Farm center. Go to farm center and make a study and survey in farm center. 75% of the boys in farm center are dropped out from secondary school. They don't see the need for secondary school anymore. In China, I'm screen na wire at 500. Ya zo ya 3,000. Ya ci 2,005. Me zai da secondary school. So they are now in farm center. Can you imagine the population of farm center 2 years ago? Who has been to farm center 2 years ago? Go to farm center now. You wonder where are these young people coming from? Wallahi, they are dropped out from our secondary school. Harkan waya ya fi musu harkan makaranta. So maybe by next year we will come back here for Boys Education Summit. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Murtala Adogi, Damasanin Adogi, for that thought-provoking presentation. I'm sure we've learned a great deal, highlighting the picture of the problem and way out also beyond that. Thank you so much. We're gradually drawing closer to the end of the day, but we wouldn't end and close until we attend to 3 items on our agenda by the special grace of God, which are going to be done in a very short while. Having listened to that lead paper presentation by Dr. Murtala Adogi, I would now call on Mr. Kelechi Ugu, who is the Policy and Strategy Intervention Manager at FCDO Plain Project, to come and make a presentation on empowering girls, transforming communities, the promise of the Kano Girls Education Policy. A round of applause for Mr. Kelechi as he proceeds to the stage.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to stand before you today to make this very brief presentation on the Kano State Girls Education Policy. Let me first of all start by thanking the Kano State government and of course Bridge Connect for inviting Plain to this very auspicious occasion. We thank you for what you have done and what you will keep doing. It's actually very interesting that this presentation on the Kano Girls' Education Policy is coming now. Because as we all know, policy is government intent. What has government decided to do on a particular issue? And coming after my big brother, Murtala, and the high impact areas he has mentioned, and some of these things, you would see that actually the government has thought about these things and included it already in the policy. So the challenge is implementation. And why I think that we should all pay attention to this very brief presentation is because us as partners, whether you are Bridge Connect or SBMC or KSAFE, it's important that we know what the government has said so that our support is around it, so that we don't do something that is outside what the government has decided to do. And then when we struggle, we begin to blame the government. Okay, so I will just move quickly. If we can just go to the next slide. Just go on to the next slide. I think everybody in the room knows what the Plain program is about. If you don't know, please meet my SDL after the meeting. He will explain to you what we are all about. So, the Kano Girls' Education Policy we are talking about is one of the 4 policies that the Kano State Executive Council approved on the 28th of April. In fact, I think in some other fora we were talking and saying that on that day, Kano State government did something no state government has ever done in Nigeria. Approving 4 education policies at a go. 4. In fact, when Malahaladu was speaking, the TA to the governor, most of the policies he listed were all approved on that day. The girls' education policy, the teacher development policy, the gender and social inclusion policy, and the non-state school policy. Those 4 policies were approved on the same day. And one of the things that we are so proud of about Kano State government in approving this particular policy was that this policy, work on this policy started around 2016. And for that work to have transcended administrations, to have received approval this year, is a sign of strong political commitment around issues of girls' education. I want to thank Hejia Meiro. I think, is she still here? She is the co-chair of the Girls' Education Partnership. That partnership actually held and made sure that this policy did not die. And again, that goes to show the importance of civil society organizations when they partner with government. Okay, so that policy, like I said, work started in 2018, supported by FCDO-funded Pell program then. And then when the Plain program came on board, Plain took it up, working with a lot of stakeholders, like I said, the Girls' Education Partnership. And one other important thing that was quite interesting, one of the things we see over the years supporting government is that, in fact, there was a funny story. I think it was, I will not call, okay, let me call. I think we're in a safe place. We were doing, I think it was an MTSS for Imo State. The plan was that they would learn from other states and then domesticate. So, and then we come. They are supposed to do the work, and then we come to help them validate. And then we come and they present a document. On the cover, you see Imo State's medium-term sector strategy. And then we open the first page. We open the first page, and we see the name of another state on the first page. So they did not domesticate, they dubbed. Yeah, I understand, sir. So, but here in this policy, after we did all the work together with the ministry, and this document was submitted to ESCO, ESCO said we need to own this document. It is a state document. ESCO set up a 14-member committee to look at these policies, all of them. After the committee sat and looked at it, it was at that point that ESCO now said, this is Kano State document, and it was endorsed. I don't think I've ever seen it in any other state, that level of ownership. And so, in summary, that policy provides a framework to ensure that girls and out-of-school females who may have missed chance of benefiting from formal education to have access to quality education has a lot of provisions. It also includes an implementation plan. Not just the policy, but how to implement it is also part of the plan. Can we just move on to the next slide? I will not read this. I'm sure all of us can read it. Look at the policy vision. What the policy envisions. That in a couple of years' time, this is how the education system in Kano State will be. A world-class education system that is functional, equitable, sustainable, and sensitive to the educational needs of girls. That is the vision. That is what the state government is saying, that that's where education is going. All right, so of course the policy mission and the core values is there. Let's move on to the next slide very quickly. On the next slide, we just tried to show the building block, how that policy is organized, the girls' education policy in Kano. You can see the policy goal. We just read it. So at the very apex is the policy goal. This is the picture where we are going. To get to that policy goal, we have 8 overarching policy objectives, and there are 7 priority areas that these objectives feed into. The priorities are like the most important things the state government has said that in the area of girls' education, these are the things we will do. And of course, those objectives feed into it. The way the policy is also organized, it is also organized by education level. So you would see from ECCDE up until adult and non-formal. So that policy is organized by education levels. And each level has its own objectives, its own sub-objectives. That is each of them. I would just want to show us the priority areas because I think it is also priority. These are the priority areas. Every partner in this room should be familiar with these priority areas because this is what will guide our programming. If we want to support girls' education in Kano, our programming, our interventions need to align with these priorities because these are the priorities that the state government has listed for girls' education in Kano State. I will skip the next slide, but can we just go to let's go to summary. Good. Thank you very much. There are too many provisions in that document, so everybody needs to get it and read it. But this is just the summary. This is just the summary. The one on around STEM subjects, STEM, promoting, bridging the gap, girls' participation in STEM. There is also the issue of second chance. In other words, girls who may have dropped out of school. We now know that enrollment is no longer a challenge in Kano in terms of girls' enrollment. The challenge is often when you move to technical and vocational and at senior levels, you don't see a number of girls there. So there are provisions around those areas. So everybody is encouraged to get this policy and look at it. Let's look at the last slide that we have on stakeholders. On the board right there, the policy states what each of these stakeholders would do to deliver on that policy. The policy is not just for government alone, but for all of these people listed, and even more, and even more. And so that brings us to the end of this presentation. It was brief. It was, but we just wanted to show that the Kano State government has already thought about this issue of girls' education, developed this policy earlier this year, and I think what it now left is for all of us as partners in progress to join the state government to deliver this policy. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelechi from FCDO Plain Project for that tour and overview of Kano Girls Education Reform Policy. Thank you so much. Okay, I had said we have basically just 3 items on our agenda before closing. Moving on to the next is a panel conversation, a panel discussion with the title, Beyond Commitment, Ensuring Public Accountability and Monitoring in Girls' Education Financing. Continuous accountability and monitoring in girls' education financing. And to have this discussion, this panel, is our first panelist in person of Mukhtar Halilu Modibo. A round of applause for Mr. Mukhtar. He is a distinguished governance, transparency, and accountability expert with extensive experience working with marginalized grassroots communities across Africa. He is a former youth leader for the Global Partnership for Education, GPE, and he has been a strong advocate for girl-child education and reforms. A round of applause for Mr. Mukhtar as he proceeds here to the stage. Yes. Our second panelist is Hadiza Gidado. Yes. Hadiza has worked in educational development for over 25 years. That's 2 decades and a half. That's about my age, technically. Her experience in education, community development, curriculum design, and project management is put to good use in institutional strengthening and empowering vulnerable households and communities. A round of applause for Madama Hadiza Gidado. Our third panelist is Dr. Hassana Shuaib, who is the Senior Programs Manager, ACE Charity. Madama Hassana Shuaib is a Senior Programs Officer at ACE Charity, an organization dedicated to providing quality education for underserved children, empowering women and youth, and advocating for the right of girl child to access free and quality education. She's obtained her bachelor's degree in human anatomy from the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and her MSc in public health from the International Medical University, Malaysia, and a PhD in community education and development at University Putra, Malaysia. She's currently advocating for the development of a gender-responsive education plan in Oyo State. Our third panelist is Dr. Ebenezer Leo. He is the Director, Education Sector, Nigeria Governors Forum. And he's also the National Coordinator, Community of States Commissioners of Education in Nigeria, COSCN. A round of applause for Dr. Ebenezer Leo. Thank you. To moderate this conversation is Mr. Umar Muhammad, popularly called Icon Farouk, who is the co-founder and chief operations officer at Spark Lab Hub. Umar Muhammad, known as Icon Farouk, is the founder of Wish Society, co-founder and chief operations officer of Spark Lab, and the startup mentor at 15 Wins Academy, currently steering committee member at Impact Investment Foundation. He is going to lead this conversation. Thank you. So I'll hand over to the moderator to proceed with the conversation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It gives me great pleasure to be on this panel session because honestly, when I was given this topic to moderate, I was very, very excited because I know there is a lot for us to actually learn from this. And this topic is not just directly to the government or to the policy makers. This panel is directly to the participants, the public that are seated here. So I wish we can take this onward and also to share with those people that are not being able to be here. And I would like this panel session to be really localized, possibly if we can do that, to localize it. If we cannot localize it, let's have a soft words so that it can be able to penetrate well. So I will go directly to the questions because of time. And I will be starting with Mukhtar Halilu Modibo. And my question for you is, how can citizen-led accountability movements such as Follow the Money be integrated into government monitoring frameworks to ensure transparency in the disbursement and utilization of funds for girls' education? Mr. Mukhtar.
Hello, okay. Assalamu alaikum. I'm so sorry. I would have really loved to mix the whole thing in Hausa, but you know my full day and Hausa is something else. So, but I'll go with this. You know, how do we marry accountability, or let me say social accountability, or what have you, to the education sector? I just want us to believe that education is everybody's business. Advocacy is everybody's business. Accountability is everybody's business. Because the strengthening part of education or accountability has to do with legitimacy, credibility, service, power, and the intention. You know, governments are meant to be the ones that are actively working on policies, but who shape the policies are the people. So one of the major reasons why we don't see our budget, or shall I say why some of our budget, or let me example now, the grades that Kano is having, that's the gender responsive education sector framework. Most of the times in different environment is because maybe social norms overshoot the budget expenditure, or cultural norms are not, you know, cultural norms are something that overshoots that example, or people or communities are not actively involved. Let's say need assessment were not conducted and what have you. So for people to really be active, I think we all need to be active citizens. We all need to understand that government is all about us, because all of us cannot be in that particular place. That's why we send some people to sort of represent us. So if someone is representing you, all you need to do is to ask that person questions. So governance is all about demand and supply, question and answers, right? So we need to be actively involved in asking questions, and we need to actively involve in knowing what the government is exactly doing. Now, that is where need assessment is encouraged. Government need to do need assessment to know what the people want and what the people need at a particular period of time. And people need to ask questions. So by asking questions is you're joining path in the form of social accountability. So follow the money is not doing something different. Follow the money is just asking questions. Now, how do we ask the question? We look at model and say, we are looking at this and this and that. So how will people be part of it? The only way people will be part of it is if people ask questions, if people see governance as everybody's business, if people see the education of the girl child, the boy child, and every other person as their own business, and they ask questions. Asking question can be maybe your child went to school, on his way or her way back, to ask the child, okay, what did you really learn, right? Was your teacher there? I'll give you the last example maybe before I go. We were monitoring an activity in Sokoto, and we entered a class and there was no teacher. And then I asked, where is your teacher? And the principal said the teacher is asthmatic, and because of the dust, she had to run to the house because the house is closer. Now, while we were going out, one of the students there, or one of the pupils, that is primary 3, said, Wallahi mallan kariyata. Right? So I now asked, why do you, like, Mesa kache kariyata? Wallahi mallan batazuba. You know, that child went straight to just inform that, oh, I went further to ask, who asked you to be doing that? He said his father told him not to lie. And he will not sit and watch someone lie, right? So that is, you know, accountability starts from the home. And I think that's what we all need to encourage.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukhtar, for this. And I'll go to Dr. Asana. My question for you is all right, what practical models have proven effective in holding both communities and government accountable for improving girls' access to quality education?
Okay, thank you for that question. You gave us a disclaimer that we should try and make it as simple as possible. So I want to simplify this and give a scenario that everybody can understand before I answer your question. So let's imagine that a father decided that he's going to be giving 50,000 naira every term to a school to buy sweets for the children, right? He promised 50,000 naira. Now, there are different things that could happen. One, some children will not get sweets. Some children will get, no child will get sweets. That's another scenario. A third scenario is that some children will get sweets in January, February, other children will not get sweets. And a fourth scenario is every month, every child will get sweets, right? So that is the example. Now, what is transparency? I need people to understand when we are saying transparency and accountability, what do we actually mean? In this context now, transparency means that everybody knows that the father gave sweets. And everybody knows that the father donated 50,000 naira. That's transparency. Everybody knows what is going on. All the students know that the father donated 50,000 naira. And guess what? If the students know that the father has donated 50,000 naira for sweets, and in January they did not get sweets, what would they do? They will go and meet the teacher or the head teacher. Baba gave money for sweets. Where is our sweets? That's accountability. So when we are talking about transparency, it's about everybody knowing what has been budgeted for and what the government wants to spend for the people. And accountability is having the right to go and ask the questions, what was the money used for? So to quickly answer your question, understanding this concept, the approaches that will work is one, the government needs to make the entire public aware of the budget. How can you do this? Put it on the website. If you want to see the education budget, what the government has said they are going to spend on education, let us go to the website and see it. And it shouldn't be lump sum. You know, maybe they'll just say, girls' education, 50 billion naira. No. What are they sending to the school? What are they sending to each community, to each school? That way, everybody is aware. And then another important model, and I was glad I was an audience at the panel session yesterday, is where the parents and the community members, when they see that something is lacking in their school, they can actually report. Now, there's the equity platform that was presented yesterday, and I think that is a very beautiful beginning because the government has been involved. So what does this mean is, if a child sees that she doesn't have textbooks, and it's already been obvious that they are supposed to provide textbooks in that school, she can easily report. How can this be done? Through SMS. It doesn't have to be online. Those that do not have phones or Android phones can use SMS to be able to report. That will work. We've seen it work in so many different countries, in Philippines and in South Africa, for example. Okay, so one is that there should be direct feedback mechanism from the community members and the government. And the second is that the government has to be completely transparent so everybody knows what has been budgeted and spent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. The next question is for Hajia Hadiza. Based on your experience, 25 years of experience to be precise, in community-driven education programs, what local accountability mechanisms have proven most effective in sustaining girls' education initiatives after donor funding ends? You can make your reference with Kano.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is a very interesting question. Well, I have worked with communities in the Fitila project and also the Kano Social Emotional Learning project that was concluded earlier this year. And what we did was, in the Fitila project, we're providing some educational technology items to the schools. We have TVs, DVDs, and CDs that they will use as they use as educational instructional materials to aid their lessons. Now, the first thing was to ensure that the community has that ownership of what you are providing. We did not deliver these things to the schools directly, but we had to get the school community involved. They came and collected these, signed their papers, and so on. And also we gave them training on how to support girls' education by doing a lot of things, like they identify. Thank you. You can hear me? Yes, they identify and engage local partnerships to provide solutions to some of the issues that they have in school. Now, let me tell you, like, for example, many of our schools always wait on the government to come and solve their issues when they can do something before it gets to it gets bad. For example, you have a ceiling that is falling down, and it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 in the classroom, and everybody waits and waits and watches it fall down. They feel that it's not their responsibility. But in that same community, we have carpenters, we have builders, we have masons, and so on. So how do we kind of train them to identify these things and see how they can support themselves. And we were able to get so much support from the communities in terms of building. Some classrooms were built, toilets were built, some refurbished, provision of desks, and they were engaging communities to do that. So first thing is let the communities know that they are involved. We're talking about this big word, budget. And Doctor here gave us an example of how these things can be reported. But when you talk about budget, how many of people in the community really know what this budget is all about? How do we break it down to their level to understand? I appreciate that you say we should simplify this, because I think we are like making some assumptions that are really not there on the ground. So how do we get them to know about these things? To know that, yes, they have that power to be involved in this. I was involved in the Bridge Connect, I think, town hall meetings, where communities were asked to be involved in the budget and so on. So that is where you start. What are the needs of those communities? Let them first know that, yes, they need to feed into this. And their needs they need to actively identify what they need for their girls' education on all aspects in the school. And of course, then they follow a system where there should be a structure where they report these things. Because some of them will not feel comfortable going to maybe an office to say this is this. That's why I appreciated equity platform that was shared by Daha yesterday.
Yes.
But then I think so much needs to be done to make people aware of these things and make them aware and also be confident in using these things.
Thank you very much. I'll go to Dr. Leo. How can Kano State government strengthen the accountability system to ensure that funds allocated for girls' education are effectively spent and deliver measurable outcomes?
Thank you. I'm aware that the Kano State government is using gender responsive education budgeting. And I'm also aware that there are also very critical tools that Kano State government can use to ensure that there is seamless accountability and reporting mechanisms. But first of all, I want to use this opportunity to commend Kano State government. Coming from the Governors Forum, I understand the ways and means that states allocate education budget, the percentage, and the needs for those allocations. Practically for Kano State, apart from allocating over 31% of their budget to education, the report shows that about 9% of that budget is being allocated to girl child education. That's practically very impressive.
Very, very.
There is this organized private sector that sometimes we are unable to tap them. Basically in Lagos State and some other states, they've been able to tap into the private sector organizations. When they came to my office, they said they have the capacity to allocate over 100 billion naira to the education sector if governments can provide some waivers. So if we utilize the social impact model, for example, you'll be able to provide the incentive through tax waiver to private sectors, banks, companies, and the rest of them, and then allow them to use that proceed to be able to invest in the education sector, girl child, boy child, provision of infrastructure, and other very critical needs required in the education sector. That way, again, you'll be able to enhance a lot of resources from the private sector to address most of the issues in the education sector. We have other tools. For example, there is this overhead that is given to the schools. Normally, it's not much money, but you can also measure that impact through a mobile app so that the teachers will be able to report directly to the commissioner what is being spent, what is being allocated, and how much is being spent on weekly basis.
Yes.
You can easily
Doctor,
do that.
is this available for the public to access?
Yeah. There is the one that is used by the Honorable Minister of Education in his office, and most of the states have key in, is a known one, the Education Management Information System, EMIS. That way, you collate the data, you analyze, you visualize, and at the same time, you're able to report. Our state annual school census is now being digitalized to ensure that the minister is able to monitor report from various states to be able to understand what is happening. And the manual aspect has always been criticized for ineffectiveness and the lack of efficiency and the rest of it. So you can utilize that model now. There is also result-based monitoring approach where you allocate resources and monitor impact based on what is being done in that particular school. And not just what, for example, if there is increase in enrollment in a particular school, more allocation will be given to that school. If there is increased outcome in terms of foundational literacy and numeracy, for example, allocation is being given to that state. But I understand the critical importance of the gender-based education budgeting system. Of course, Bridge is using it, and Kano State has adopted it because it's just been launched today. And that that tries to, it's a framework that tries to ensure that the disparity between boys and girls' education, infrastructure, and the rest of it are critically balanced to ensure that every aspect of the education ecosystem is provided a critical opportunity to address itself, because there is enabling factor to provide for that. And at any point in time, girl child education is always given a priority. But again, you must understand that in Kano State, based on the data available, there is a seamless balance between enrollment for girls and enrollment for boys. And so we also have to balance budgeting for boys and girls' education in Kano State. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Abu da muke tattaunawa a nan, akwai kasafin kuɗi da ake warewa na girl child education. So wa'annan professionals ne wanda suke ba mu hanyoyi na yadda mu public za mu iya amfani da shi don mu bibiya yadda aka kasafta wannan kuɗin, me aka yi da shi, ina aka yi, me aka yi ga doctor kuma ya ba mu misali cewa akwai educational management system that is readily available for public. Za mu iya zuwa downloading ɗin shi, za mu ga budget da aka ware, za mu bibiya mu ga me aka yi da wannan kuɗaɗen. Wanda wannan ina gani wani haƙƙi ne da ke kanmu da ya kamata a ce muna bibiya mu tabbatar da koko mu san me aka yi da kuɗaɗen nan da aka ware na girls education da ake amfani da shi. So yanzu za mu je tambaya na biyu. Mr. Mukhtar, the second question, let's make it as brief as possible. So from your experience with gender-responsive budgeting, what are the key gaps in current education financing systems that prevent funds from truly addressing the needs of girls, particularly in rural or marginalized communities?
So maybe I will go back to what the lead presenter presented. If you look at some of the things he mentioned, I tried to jot down some things, and I'll explain it very fast.
Yeah.
Budgets are not based on generated data. That's one. One size fits all approach. One size fits all approach. Okay. Weak implementation of gender-responsive budgeting policy. Then poor community participation in budget planning, limited accountability and transparency, insufficient focus on retention, not just access, neglect of formal, informal and alternative learning path, political priority over real needs, weak coordination across ministries, then cultural and social norm overlooked in financial models. Now, if you look at all these things, these are issues that affect the entire implementation of the budget. Now, from weak participation to even overlooking of returnship to weak coordination and lack of planning, every budget should be the wants and the needs of the people. But that's not what we see. Some few people maybe make budget for the number of people. So you don't know their needs or wants. How do you represent what they are looking for? And that's lack of community participation. Then the lack of transparency and accountability I mentioned earlier. For every budget to be achieved, we need 5 cardinal principles, which is credibility, legitimacy, accountability, service, and power. Now, having this concept followed is when everything is being followed. So the weak point of following the gender responsiveness of the budget is another thing. And a lot of time we talk about inclusion. The inclusion level of budget is not just about everybody is included, but it's about the impact. Now, what are the impact level? If you look at all the presentation we keep making, the money is there, the budget item is there, people are being enrolled, almost 4 million. I mean, there was a presentation that was looking at almost 4 million. But where are the 4 million in secondary school, right? What are they being provided? If you look at maybe the gender responsiveness of the budget in Kano, right, will now show you that where we are headed. So it's not about budget. There is budget, there is implementation, and there is releases, right? So how good are the releases? How effective are the implementation of the budget conversation? I think these are the things. So to give you a recap, I think it's a work of both the government, policymakers, policy formulators, and the community. Everybody needs to come together to be one so that we can effectively run a race together and win the race together.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukhtar. So in 2 minutes or less, Doctor, please, yes, how can gender-responsive education policies be better financed and monitored to ensure that girls who drop out due to early marriage, poverty, or pregnancy are successfully reintegrated into school?
Okay, so I'll say that for every state, they have what we call gender-responsive education plans. Now, for effective planning, there has to be effective data collection and analysis. What this means is that for Kano State, they need to understand, in short, they do understand, based on the presentation, that there is a higher, there are higher enrollment rates, and then there are also high drop-off rates. So if girls are dropping out of school, why are they dropping out of school? And I was happy to hear that, they were aware of the fact that early marriage is one of the reasons why girls are dropping out of school. What can we do to ensure that these girls who have married early can go back to school? We have to speak to the married girls, and we are doing that. We are hearing married girls saying, at least 90% of the married girls want to go back to school. Now, one of the issues in Kano State, for example, is married girls are not allowed to go to formal schools. They have to go to the married women's centers. The issue with the married women's centers is they are not accessible in the urban areas, which is where there's a less prevalence of early marriage, while in the rural areas, they don't really have some of these women's centers that will teach them biology, physics, chemistry, that they can actually finish and go to school. I was speaking to a girl. This girl really wanted to go to school. She was in SS2. She was one of the top students in her school. But she had to get married. She was married out in SS2. And then she got divorced because she kept insisting that her husband should send her to school. And that was the reason why she got divorced. But right now, she's a divorcee. She can't go back to school because she was once married. Now, this girl does not have a center in her school for her to be able to go back to school. So we need to start speaking to these girls and knowing what is the reality, what are the things we can put in place so that they can actually re-enter education, and how can we start budgeting for these centers that will cater to married girls or previously married girls so that the current school structures can actually provide this learning for them. We are currently having these conversations with Sami, and I'm glad to know that we are receiving positive feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. And Hajia, in 2 minutes or less, how can integrating social emotional learning into monitoring frameworks improve both the quality and accountability of education financing targeted at girls?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Now, when you integrate social emotional learning, first of all, you're given skills to the pupils. You're given skills to the parents themselves because it depends on how you do it. We had like community viewings where we have parents, both mothers and fathers, in a school where we used our My Better World videos. And I think there was one about something that was addressing issues of girls not coming to school or coming to school late. And after the viewing, you have a discussion with the parents. And I personally was so interested because I was surprised that there was this candid discussion. You're not allowing your girls to come to school. The fathers would say, it's the mothers, they send them to hawk. They have to go and hawk before they bring them to school. And the mothers were saying, yes, we do that. We know we do that. But we are doing this because you are not providing this, and that to these girls, so you have allowed us with that responsibility that it's not supposed to be ours. That's why we're doing it. And at the end of it, you find like they come to a kind of an agreement. Okay, this is what we need to do to ensure that these girls come to school. So with the girls, you find that you give them the skills to know who they are, the purpose of the study itself, what they need to have to be good citizens, how they should be empathetic, how they should look at what is happening around their schools and communities, how they can help, and then you see that you're giving them a better. I have seen a school where, from one of the viewings, the school had a broken borehole, and the girls were able to get some community members to come and fix that, and not only the school, but the houses around the school were also getting this. So I feel that when you integrate this, you are not just bringing, giving them education, but you're giving them a better life.
Thank you very much, Hajia. Though we have 0 seconds left, but Dr. Leo, we have one more question for you. We'll try to make it as brief as possible.
0 seconds.
0 seconds. What innovative monitoring tools or data-driven approaches can help governors and policymakers track the real impact of girls' education financing at the community level?
I think we've just talked about the EMIS model, and then we also talked about the one that Kano State just launched today, the gender responsive education model. I think they can use all these ones, but I quite agree that Kano State has really done very well with the use of that gender responsive education budgeting system because it helps to allocate resources particularly to girl child education and then to other aspects of the education spectrum. But I also understand how important through peer review to expose other states to what very good states are doing in terms of using very impactful models in education financing. So that is, we're having an international summit on education financing, basically on education financing, developing a synergy between the town and gown and using a very sustainable education financing model. And so most of this model will be talked about, and Kano State has been picked as one of the states to showcase at that summit, the international summit, to other states to see how what Kano State is doing, what Enugu State is doing, what Lagos State is doing can be helpful for other states through our own peer review mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you. So, sorry, sir, can our representatives, like the Bridge Connect, be part of the summit? All right. So, thank you very much. Abin da muka tattauna a takaice shine gwamnati ta yi abin da za ta yi implementing partners ko ce donor organizations su ma sun ba da gudunmuwansu da za su yi, so ya rage wa al'umma mu kuma mu bibiya maga an tafiyar da wannan funds din nan yadda ya kamata ko ba a yi ba. So lokaci yayi da ya kamata a ce a fara bibiyan wannan kasafin kuɗi da ake yi. So thank you very much, distinguished panelists, for coming and giving your own industry expert experience to this panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, the moderator and the excellent panelists. Please, we'll take a picture. Yes. May I? Let's take the panelists. Please, let's have. May I also invite the Honorable Minister, alongside the Chairman, sir, and the Executive Director, Bridge Connect Africa, and the Chairman Organizing Committee to join them on stage for a photo session. Thank you very much. A round of applause for our amazing panelist and moderator. By the grace of God, before we will conclude all activities by the grace of God before 9 p.m. Okay, so moving on, we're taking our last presentation for the day. Last presentation before we take the chairman's closing remarks, closing prayer. But just before I invite chairman organizing committee for the presentation, informed is going to be a form that looks like this is going to be distributed shortly, and this is the Girls Education Summit commitment form. From the many discussions we've had and presentations and panels and keynotes, everybody is quite aware of the role they need to play. So we want to get as many commitments as possible. So these forms are going to be shared. It's for everybody to show their commitment with their details, their initials and details and signature. We want to collect as much commitments as possible. These forms are going to be distributed, so please feel free to fill the forms to notify us of the commitment that you're going to be showing in your various capacities. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, it's going to be the Gender Responsive Education Budgeting Framework, the GREB framework at a glance. So, and that is going to be done by Dr. Yakubu Muhammad Anas, who is an education consultant and chairman, Kano Girls Education Summit Organizing Committee. A round of applause for Dr. as he takes us through this framework that had just been unveiled earlier by His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State.
Okay, رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I'm just going to give you a brief about it. The GREP framework is just like supporting what we have known to be doing. It's gender responsive education budgeting. We know states have been making budget, and then from the budget they have been allocating a lot of money to education, and a lot of statement of commitment to girls' education or to female education. So this actually is built upon the understanding that Kano State has the highest population, not only in Nigeria, but in West Africa. And at the same time, when we are talking about children in school, we also have the highest number of children in school, also the highest number of out-of-school children. So the GREP was to come and look at not only supporting girls, but also the boys and other vulnerable children. So we have seen that despite a lot of money being put into education, a lot of girls are still not coming to school. More girls are there actually hawking, not going. In some cases, marriages are also affecting them. So this framework was based on the challenges of inadequate teaching staff. We know there are teaching staff. Kano State has been recruiting more and more, but these teachers are inadequate still. And then out of the inadequacies, there are less number of female teachers, and this less number of female teachers deny the girls of having role models that could support them to go more, attend more education. And then by this, only 27.5% of the total number of teachers in Kano State are female, which means we have less number. So the GREP is trying to address this one. And then we know there's family preferences that families prefer boys to attend school because they don't have enough money. So maybe they have cultural understanding of the need that it's the boys that actually become the main suppliers of economy in the house. There's also that issue of social perception that if you take a girl, give her education, quality, support her, in the long run, she's not yours, she's going to the husband and supporting him. We fail to understand that reality. Then the resources being allocated are allocated for the whole education. And the government has a very good intention to provide that one, but out of sheer, maybe the way the plans are being taken into cognizance was that girls are not being provided what they need. And that, so allocation that special, insufficient fund affect the girls' education. Then the purpose of this was to promote gender equity, ensuring education budgets are address gender disparities in enrollment, in retention, in transition, and in completion. This is the issue. Then it is also to ensure that girls are empowered by providing them with necessary resources to help them attend school. These are a list of the things that are there in it, but I'm just going through it. You can have the copy of the budget because of time. Then the implementation strategy was targeted at ensuring that there is proper engagement with the government, which you have seen now. A lot of processes were followed. It has been reviewed. Interest of the government, of the community, everything has been imputed into the GREP framework. And then they are also using accurate data because it's not offhand. A lot of data was generated from the government, from the Ministry for Budget and Planning, Ministry of Education, and the agencies to look at how females, how girls are being supported. And both in school, out school assessment have been made to see how these ones can be supported. Then the framework is targeting gender equality, teacher development, and other policies. And before the framework was completed, there are 4 policies that have been developed by Kano State government. The gender and social inclusion, girls' education, and non-state school policies. These ones were all articulated into the GREP framework, targeting ensuring that the girls are properly settled into it. The rationale was to ensure that this framework is rooted in the recognition that girls and women in Kano are facing barriers, and these barriers need to be properly addressed. And then the GREP framework is set to help the government and anybody interested in supporting girls to see that there is a way you can go to support them. This framework has been validated over and over and over. The last one was in Kaduna, where the commissioner was there, and then the commissioner made a statement of adoption, and then now here, the governor made a statement of adoption through the deputy governor. There is the guiding principles are: 1, legal and policy context. So it's not just offhand. We look at the government policies, what are the legal frameworks, it is built upon that. And then what are the social and economic benefits? That is also hinged into making the policy work. Then data-driven decision making. It is targeted at ensuring that every decision is made is not offhand. There's the data that is built upon it. So then also ensuring that the current educational landscape of Kano is being considered, which means at every review that will have to be put into consideration. Then stakeholder engagement, very, very critical. One thing that Bridge Connect and Malala Fund makes was to ensure that right from the grassroots, every stakeholder is involved in ensuring that this framework is going to work for Kano State. It is, the objective of the GREP was basically to promote gender equity in education, that both boys and girls are benefiting. 2, to enhance access to quality education, to ensure that each and everyone, not only girls, was able to go to school complete the school and then become beneficial to himself or herself and the society. And also to ensure that girls are properly empowered through the education, and then to foster economic and social development. You know that the girls finding it difficult to expose themselves, to say their interests, to expose their needs, is because there is low education level or no education. But through the education, girls will have their voice in the system. And probably through the GREP framework, we might have even more girls going into the state assembly, into different sectors that they can help. Then inclusion and equity of resources allocation. You know, toilets being built in schools are considered probably for everybody. But we know girls need a specific kind of toilet, not the general toilet. So we have to ensure that the resources are allocated in a manner that it is inclusive, it is equitable, ensuring all students, regardless of gender and other challenges, including those whose disabilities, are given maximum opportunity. Then strengthen stakeholder engagement. The framework has made a provision where all stakeholders will always have their voice. Before this one, there was a community engagement framework which is built up on making this one. So the first framework the British Connect made was, through Malala, was the community engagement framework, which was to say that right from the grassroots, we can make a decision about what we want in our schools, what we want in the education system. It is always through this kind of framework that we do. And this framework was particularly ensuring that all stakeholders are involved in decision-making in the grassroots budget planning. Then data-driven decision-making was just to see that nothing is done off-head. So there are a lot of structures in the framework, which I'll just maybe put through. The mainstream gender education subsector budget line item include human resource, curriculum development, infrastructure, scholarships, and bursaries, guidance and counseling, inclusive instructional materials, maybe extracurricular activities that had to be there in the schools, and then school management strategies. All the framework has ensured that all these ones are involved in it. At a final level, this particular framework, right, is transformative, ensuring that each and everyone is involved. It is aimed at addressing the persistent gender disparities in education. That is, if gender perspectives are properly integrated into the budgeting process, this framework will facilitate the creation of an education system that is inclusive, equitable, and responsive to the needs of each and everyone. The successful implementation from what we have seen will ensure that our education become the best. Kano is getting higher and higher, better and better, but I strongly believe if we have an opportunity to go through this one and to implement it like pledged by the state government, we will definitely see the change we desired in the education system. Thank you. Kasami Ido.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That has been Dr. Yakubu Muhammad Anas.
If you need this copy, the copy of this one, you can go to the State Assembly when they finish finalizing it. And also, there is this barcode there. Scan the barcode. You can give us feedback on all what has transferred from yesterday to today. The barcode is there along your way out.
Thank you. The tech team are going to project a barcode. So if you want access to this, to the GRAPE framework, you could just scan. You could just scan that, and also not forgetting our feedback forms. We have barcodes pasted at strategic places within the venue here, and of course inside the venue. Please, we value your feedback. We want to make this even better next year. So we value your feedback and responses. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, we're gradually moving to the end of this event. I'm a man of my word. I said we'll close before 9, so by the grace of God, we'll close before 9. The second to the last item on our agenda all presentations been done, all panels been excellently delivered by our excellent panelists and moderator. Different other sessions been done. We would now move to another key part of the event, which is the closing remarks. And that is going to be done by none other but the chairman of the occasion himself, in person of Malam Tajuddin Gambo. Please, a round of applause for his great man. I would repeat what I said earlier: former teacher, former vice principal, former director of planning, former permanent secretary, and former honorable commissioner for education. A round of applause for this remarkable man.
All of protocols observed. Because we want to close by before 9, I'll just say thank you to everybody. Thank you to all participants for staying all this long. I hope you have enjoyed what has gone on the last 2 days. I wish all of you safe journey back to your destinations. I also wish to thank the Bridge Connect and the Malala Foundation for their efforts. Thank you very much.
Okay, yes. Very short and precise, yet filled with value. Finally, as we close, we've had many recommendations. So many problems were highlighted and so many recommendations were given from the paper presentations, other presentations and the panels. And we have a secretariat dedicated to capturing all of those things. So I would now invite Abubakar Umar to come and read out the communique of the summit. And this is also going to be made public and available to everybody that attended this summit and those that were not chanced to attend. So Abubakar will read out the communique and then we'll make it available to everybody at the end of the summit.
Thank you, Mala Ahmad. Assalamu alaikum. Communique issued at the end of the 2D Girls Education Summit organized by Bridge Connect Africa Initiative in collaboration with Kano State Government through Ministry of Education with the support of Malala Funds. The venue is Dangote Business School, and the date is 17th and 18th October 2025. Summit theme: Invest in our future, advancing girls' education through equitable budgeting. Introduction. The Kano Girls Education Summit is part of the commitment of Bridge Connect Africa Initiative to support government reform agenda, especially for girls whom were affected by poverty, early marriage, lack of conducive learning environment, and inequitable resources allocation. The event coincides with the commemoration of International Day for Girl Child Education, celebrated across the globe on the 11th of October. This year's theme is The Girl I Am, The Child I Lead, Girls on the Front Lines of Crisis. The theme expresses the situation of girls' education and the need for all stakeholders to play their individual and collective roles to ensure girls receive sound and quality education in Kano State. Recognizing the crucial importance of girls' education as a major source of their happiness, Bridge Connect has taken a bold step to collaborate with Kano State through Ministry of Education to organize a summit on girl-child education. The event brought together stakeholders from government, development partners, academia, community-based organizations, community leaders, parents, education officials, teachers, students, and the media to amplify the call for investment on girls' education. Participants. Participants that attended the summit includes government officials, community leaders, academics, advocates, partners, parents, community-based organizations, teachers, and students. Methodology. The event featured high level of open plenary presentations, panel discussions, and breakout sessions, engaging interactions and contributions from participants, which ensured active participation, engagement, and experience sharing. Opening and session presentations. I'll just give a brief. If you can remember the opening, we started opening prayer yesterday by the Special Advisor to His Excellency on Vocational Education, Mal Habib Hassan Yakub. And then there were goodwill messages by Bridge Connect Africa. And then today we also had another goodwill message from Plain. The Special Advisor to the Executive Governor on Education, Malam Tajuddin Gambo, and the Special Advisor, Technical Reform, Malam Khalid Muhammad, were the chair of the summit for the 2 days. We had keynote address by the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Sweba Said Ahmad, who was represented by Special Advisor on Projects and Programs, Hajia Kulsum Muhammad Rakana. She highlighted the major barriers to girls' life achievements and potentials, also citing programs by the federal government to ensure education provision in the country. Yesterday we watched a documentary presentation titled From Policy to Progress, Girls' Education After Declaration of State of Emergency in Education in Kano State, where we've seen capturing live realities of rural girls in Bebeji and within local governments for education, despite their social and economic challenges. Today, we had the opening speech and formal declaration and unveiling of GREB framework by the Deputy Governor of Kano State, His Excellency Comrade Aminu Abdusalam Gorzo, who commended the effort of Bridge Connect Africa initiative for organizing the summit at this crucial moment. He highlighted the efforts made by government through recruitment of teachers, more than 10,000 teachers across the state. We had paper presentations. The first paper presentation was presented by Professor Rabia Hussein Adamu on investing in safe, functional boarding schools for rural girls. Also, we had a presentation on equity, which was presented by Mubarak Daha, emphasizing the need for equal access to education in Nigeria. We had other presentations yesterday and today, but because of time, I'll just move to the key observations. One, there is existing gap that needs collective responsibility of all stakeholders to ensure girls have access to quality and inclusive education. Some of the major barriers identified include poverty, early marriage, insecurity, gender-based violence, and infrastructure. Lack of female role models and mentorship opportunities for girls, especially in rural communities. Insufficient investment on girls' education and collaboration between stakeholders. The need to amplify grassroots voices and tackle persistent barriers to girls' education. The need for partnership between government, private organizations, community leaders, and other stakeholders to collaborate toward provision of sustainable actions on girls' education. There's need to strengthen coordination between education agencies, traditional leaders, and security to safeguard girls in school and in their community. Concerns were raised over the non-involvement of some stakeholders on policy design, implementation, and decision-making. There was grave framework adoption and the need for continued collaboration with government and partners. The need to have a reliable data of in-school and out-of-school girls, especially in rural areas. There is need to ensure safe boarding schools for girls to enable them attend school, especially in rural areas. resolutions. 1. Implementation and strengthening policy framework to ensure girls have access to free, quality, and inclusive education. Community engagement, advocacy, and sensitization to address barriers to girls' education. Increased budgetary allocation and implementation on girls' education. Female role models and mentorship opportunities to encourage girls, especially in rural areas. Monitor and track progress through evidence-based data collection, reporting mechanism to identify challenges and progress. Safe and inclusive learning environment for girls, especially in rural communities, with emphasis on sanitation and hygiene. Support for vulnerable girls, scholarship initiatives, mentorship, and psychological support. Provision of accessible infrastructure for PWD, that is people with disabilities. Recommendations: 1, strengthening partnership and collaboration between government, community leaders, community-based organization, parents, education managers on the proper implementation of GRAPE framework. Recruitment of more female teachers in rural communities. Now, call to action. Government development partners, academics, community leaders, civil society organizations, and parents are called to translate this into concrete actions in our various capacities. The future of girls' education rely on all of us, members of the communique group, Abubakar Umar Musa, Bilkis Abdul Ghaffar, Fatima Mftau, Yakubu Kofar Mata, Yara Muhammad, Fatima Bello, and Sadiq Sadoki. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Abubakar. The essence of reading out the communique is not just for everybody to get acquainted with what transpired within the days, but for everybody to be aligned on the resolutions that have been made so that each and every one of us leaves here making a commitment as to where they can support girls' education in Kano State and by extension in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Abubakar, and the entire communique team for that. And like I said, it's going to be made available to everybody at the end of this summit by the grace of God. And so we can continue the conversation from there and see where we can support the implementation of all the resolutions. That being said, we now move to the second to the last item on our agenda, which is the vote of thanks from Fatima Musa Aliyu, the Chief Operating Officer, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. A round of applause for Fatima. It's been a very tiring week for her organizing this summit, so let's appreciate her more, please.
Thank you, Madam Ahmed. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this Inspiring Girls Education Summit. And I want to say Alhamdulillah, it's been a lot. I want to say Alhamdulillah for the success and also for the fruitful deliberations that we've had. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend our heartfelt appreciation to our guests, our partners, and speakers for their time, for their insight, and commitment to advancing girls' education. I want to say your contributions have truly enriched this summit and strengthened our shared vision of a future where every girl learns and leads. To our government representatives and development partners, we deeply appreciate your leadership and support in making education for every girl not just a dream, but a living reality. Our sincere thanks to our facilitators, our speakers, volunteers, panelists, and the entire organizing team for their tireless efforts behind the scenes. And to all the participants, especially the schoolgirls whose voices and stories continue to inspire us. They are actually the cause and the heartbeat of this summit. May Allah reward you all for your contribution to the success of this summit. And may the ideas and partnerships that we've formed here blossom into lasting change for girls across our communities. As we prepare to leave, I wish everyone safe journey back to their various destinations. And I want to say we sincerely appreciate you and hope to continue this partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That has been Fatima Aliyu, the Chief Operations Officer, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this two-day summit, the first of its kind, Kano Girls Education Summit, with the ambitious theme, Investing in Her Future, Advancing Girls' Education Through Equitable Budgeting. Mr. Chairman, sir, other dignitaries that are still here and those that have left, it has been a wonderful day. Mr. Chairman, sir, thank you so much for being with us from the morning hours through the afternoon and this late hours of the afternoon. Thank you so much, sir. We sincerely appreciate you. Before we close, I want to appreciate my co-host, Mr. Yushiu Kafinchiri. Please, a round of applause for him. We've been together since yesterday. And also our remarkable and beautiful friends here, starting with Saeed Ahmad Mahmoud from the Association of Sign Language Interpreters of Nigeria. Please, a round of applause for them. And I want us to all stand up and give them a standing ovation. Please, yes. So a round of applause for them. Let's stand up, stand up, stand up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's appreciate them. Saeed Ahmad Mahmoud, Zainab Adeola, who is somewhere up there, and Abdul Fattah Nasser Adam, all from the Association of Language Interpreters of Nigeria. We appreciate you. You may take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Please, as we leave here, let's not forget to continue this conversation. Let's share our experience, our learnings, and the amazing commitments that we would also be making based on the insights we got from here. Like we mentioned earlier in the morning, we have a hashtag Kano Girls Education Summit. We can already see some of us sharing their photos and learnings on the internet. Please, let's do that on X, Twitter, formerly Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other socials that are there. Let's post with the hashtag so that we're able to collate all experiences and all pictures from the event. The hashtag is Kano Girls Education Summit, and we would be reposting some of these posts that you make on our official handles. You can also post on the Beige Summit 2025, Beige being B-A-G-E, Summit 2025, and also hashtag Invest in Girls, Invest in Girls, 3 hashtags. This conversation doesn't stop here. The summit officially ends now, but the problem is still there, and the commitments are still there, so we have to continue from here. The summit ends today, Saturday, but tomorrow is Sunday, is another day to begin to work towards giving girls, and by extension, even women, the quality education and the equitable education that they need. Earlier in the morning, I welcomed everybody on behalf of the entire organizing team and Bridge Connect Africa Initiative and Malala Fund also. On behalf of these partners, I also want to appreciate everybody for being here Friday, yesterday, and today, and for making it from the morning through evening. We don't take this for granted. We sincerely appreciate all your presences. Time is a very important commodity. Time is a resource. You give us your time. That is way more than anything we can get from you. So a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for yourselves and for staying till the end of this event. By the grace of God, it doesn't end here. Next year, or in a few months, we're still going to be guided, perhaps here, perhaps somewhere else, but we are going to continue this until each and every girl child in Kano State gets the kind of education that she needs, by the grace of God. We also appreciate the government for the commitment, for the support thus far, and other development partners that are here. The vote of thanks was delivered by Fatima and all partners were being appreciated. We'll continue to appreciate you, and we'll continue to work together with you. On this note, I wish everybody safe journey back to their respective destination, but let the conversation continue, please. On a final note, I want to invite for a third time to the stage Dr. Yakubu Muhammad Anas, the chairman, organizing committee, the summit organizing committee, to come and give us the closing prayer, and that officially marks the end of the summit. I wish you safe journey back to your respective destinations. For those that came from out of town, we wish you safe journey back to your respective destinations. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Just one thing that I want to remind you, we call Malan Tajuddin Field Marshal in the field. He's a field marshal. Please, I want an applause for Malan Tajuddin. There's nothing he has not reached in the education sector, and he's still continuing to support us. Adda my prayer is, Allah yi wa mata albarka. Allah ya yi wa mata albarka. Allah ya yi wa mata albarka. Duk abin da ke damun mata Allah ka yaye musu shi. Duk wacce take son ƙarin kuɗi Allah ya bata. Duk wanda yake son gida Allah ya bata. Wacce take karatu Allah ya bata ikon ta karatun da ya fi na maza. Duk macen da take da wata bukata ko ta juya mijinta ta Allah ya bata ikon juya shi kuma ta yi masa adalci. Kar ta zalunce shi. Tausayin da kuke da shi Allah ya ƙara muku shi. Ƙaunar da kuke wa maza Allah ya ƙara muku ita, ku kuma maza Allah ya ba ku ikon taimakawa matanku yadda ya kamata. Allah ya sa in sun tambaye ku kuɗin cefane ku dinga ba su har da ƙari. Allah kuma ya ƙaro muku kuɗi yadda kuke ba matanku. Allah ya ƙasar mu albarka, ya wa jihar mu albarka, abin da ke damu Allah ka yaye mana. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayka wa sallallahu wa sallama ala sayyidina habibina nabiyina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallimu tasliman katsiran subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ka kuma